Last many days have been really intense as I've been feeling over the nation. Like many have been feeling something's been off, something's been, you know, weighing on their shoulders, a lot of heaviness, a lot of weird anomalies, feeling, almost like a little bit vulnerable, feeling detached from many. Fires around the world are, have intensified, and feel like it's the same thing that's going on in those situations right now. There's a lot of hold at this moment, and the thing is that this time we should be letting go of some of the stuff that isn't serving us. There seems to be so much tightness that it's like in your back, feeling the tightness, like feeling like somebody's got a rock on the top of your shoulder, over top of you. As this fear keeps ravaging all over the land and weighing people down in their thoughts. And their thoughts are, taking them all over the place right now. The uncertainty of money. We had a president of the country, back in 2017-18, talked about the fuel. Now, certain time fuel would, make its way up to over $7. In some places that it's, for diesel at this moment, we're $2.35 to 55 cents a liter. In some areas in the Western world, we're $5 to $6 a gallon. Talking by the next month here as that season starts to make its shift and change. Another 10 cents a liter, and beyond that, depending on what the market is holding. We're stating that, putting the fear in that we're going to be running out of fuel. The upper North America has been one of the largest producers and providers of gas and oil. And I've been watching for the last, 50 years and so on, a decade, playing the game about, shortages and, where we have problems always all the time. There's war, rumors of war, micro wars, all kinds of stuff that happens. And since the 1980s has been a very much of a war on society, governments and puppets and podium pushers standing there telling you, on whatever network media that you're watching, that there's some kind of war. In 2017, a man had basically said under his own lips there that we have to, put the prices up a little bit so that we can combat the fear and not let terrorists take over our Western world. Well, there's a story or backstory to that, and I've been listening to that for a long time. And I always sat there and said, it's amazing how we're sitting in a society at this moment that a lot of people that were in the production of producing, gas and oil and had all the resources, why it wasn't more readily available to us public. It was always shipped away to other places. And not that we're not here to help all our other brothers and sisters, because that's what we are here for. And they came at pretty high costs in the time too, but we're seeing that now. And the true terrorism is the fact is that higher individuals got the control of this and controlling over most general public. Because this infects, your how you get to work, how you feed your family, how you run your business, how you run the farming, how you work the land, and how you interact with each other. It's just downright greed is what it is. And there's so many people right now running around here still worried about the money, and it's understandable why you're worried about the money. But the problem is, as I've said for quite some time, to let go. Everybody's still functioning somehow, some way, but not in the principles of allowing terrorists or tyrannies to come in and take the Western world. And watching all these different situations from, you know, a man going to a rally and yelling at a puppet at an event, and then winding up having a heart attack and wind up hurting him. But he's been fighting for the country for a very long time, and the beliefs, and many of us are, and they're trying to wear out the saint at this moment. But it's not working. But it's causing more and more daily between the unconditional and love and no love on the earth now. I'm watching all these other totalitarian states come in, you know, and take over everything from hotels to housing, taking up your rental, driving up your fuel, driving up your food, and not being part of the society, not being part of the, you know, brothers and sisters and the nature. Very long time ago, Moses was to have the 10 Commandments and come up against the Pharaoh because of the Israelites causing so much ego, fear, and pride base, and running a nation that wasn't listening, wasn't heeding any of the warnings. It's like that today, and that's why there is scripture out there, and many prophets and good people that are in the book are, you know, speaking the book, talking through the many people of experiences to show them, because of these churches that are not heeding the warning or want to hear it because they're in fear with 80% of the other population, just like what you're watching on the media. You know, it's a negative response. And so are some of the places and some of these churches are negative because they don't want to talk about the demons, and they don't want to talk about the Antichrist. They don't want to talk about anything other than trying to find the fluff and feel good. But that could be a trap for many people, just like there's so many traps and snares that are happening in the world right now. It's like our nervous system. Our nervous system is hyperactive. You know, it does so many different things when we have fear. You know, it sends us into this state that we feel, you know, depressed, alone, put out, don't want to interact, and start to put us where, you know, our bodies get ill. When we're loving and we're happy and vibrant and we're around others the same, you know, it kicks in a different DNA molecule inside our systems, tongue twister, that we change our whole body and everything from what's producing, you know, and gives us more of a healthier look in life. And the system in this world for so many people have built it around themselves, and that's what the Matrix is building this and staying in this fear that everything's going to be okay, and, you know, a false illusion that I don't need anybody. You know, in one end we know that nobody's coming to save, just so many people are doing their own thing. But we have so many people in different positions that don't understand about, you know, the economics of the world and what it is to overinflate and inflate, and to realize that you're paying for somebody in a higher stature that doesn't have to work, and he can just bark something and everybody else reacts. But there's been nothing in the downcline. And so many people are worried about what they're losing. But the problem is they're carrying so much that they weren't supposed to carry. So it sends that balance of your system also into a spiral. And right now, the church itself has lost so many because of the fear of trying to make the money. But you're making the money so you can keep paying the bigger money, and looking around that we're going to elect something, vote something, or change something. Well, the country knows that the last president of the country was 2017, pre-2021. And that's it. There's nothing else. There's no other leaders around the world. They're people that are still trying to hold a chair and still try to hold control while populations lost control. And we weren't supposed to get wrapped up into this, but this is what, we're seeing more and more on the streets now. It's more people are, so far in their head running around worried about the one thing, saying that they don't, love the money. But the brain is like, I have to have it so that I can feed and put food on the table. And so many people need, and I'm aware of that, and I'm not saying anything against it. But when the one biggest thing right now is our fuel is driving, our common sense. And it's not the fuel that feeds us. It's not the love that feeds us. It's not the water that nourishes us, rehydrates us. It's just still the Tao of somebody wanting to run a system just like the Pharaoh did and keep everybody running in a loop. But these prophets and these prophecies are all playing out to the truth. And that's what we're here for. We're waiting for the Antichrist to come out and stand on the stage. And as we know, the time is short. But as nations are falling and God's removing his hand away from the nation at the moment because they won't let go. That God is letting it slip too. We're in a slippery slope at this moment in the balance. You're wondering, well, what can we do about it? Well, there's many things we can do about it. But the problem is that it hurts so many others because it's a ripple effect. But our fuel has been driving everything that goes on in this nation for so long. And to me, it's dirty water, because that's what it is. And I know for many of you are sitting there going, well, there's this, that, and everything else. I'm aware of what's in it. I'm aware of what it takes. I'm aware of all of it. But it's been weaponized. We're told that we want to get rid of all the fuel. We want to get people in electric cars. We have this agenda that they want to run by 2030, but then we have a problem because now we have the power source and we have holes and gaps and weak parts of the power grid. We don't have the type of power that's needed, the energy. So then what does that do next? That'll eventually be another ripple effect that we no longer have cars. But we've been trying to attack this for so long because it's something that moves people around. It gives them still their bit of freedom. It gets them where they need to go, A to B. So these electric cars, as I've been hearing this week now, is causing your hair to fall out. It's causing, the DNA inside your system to go into a hyperdrive and causing, C word and stuff, It's causing, different kind of health aspects that aren't good. Because when we have a positive, like unconditional love, and we have a negative, that everything is doom and gloom and dark and evil, well, all that starts to cause plague. And all the positive starts to cause all the happiness and the healthier. So we have two worlds going on right now. But the one isn't working out very well. Because it's like this week here. It's like CERN still running. It's like the electric cars. It's a bunch of magnets. It's causing friction on the earth. It's causing the imbalance. It's causing memory. It's causing Mandela effects. It's causing a ripple effect across the earth. We have metals in our system with the stuff that we keep having sprayed in the air that unfortunately now has been interacted in the fires and now is airborne and it's flying all through. And of course, we breathe a lot of this. And the thing is that, I'm not here to put that type of fear, but I'm putting the honest truth. Doesn't matter what mask or what you put on, our bodies still get metals. We put it through our vitamins. We put through it's good metals, bad metals. We have all kinds of different stuff. It's at the base of our feet. It's in the sand. When too much is too much, and when not enough is not enough. Some of you, like when you listen to music, you like more treble. Some of you like more bass. But somewhere along the lines, too much treble. It's too much loud and on the ears and heightened sometimes, and depending on that type of music you're listening to, it's going to go a different way. Same with the bass, it's going to go different. And that's why there's always a little bit of an equalizer, so you could balance out between the two of what, worked. But the balance is so far one way and so far the other way. We're in an 80-20 principle at this moment in society. And since pre-2020 to now, the things that were stated in the media, that's been stated in the prophet speaking now, the trumpet singing, is playing out in real time. So many people now are separated, they're lost. They don't know what's up, what's down. They're looking around, thinking, but they keep running back to the same evil empire that keeps dragging you back in. And there's a lot of people that are standing in the way of each other and standing in the way of not getting stuff done. We've got these fires that are burning right now, but they're maintaining. And I talked to somebody there today. It's like they're doing everything not to put it out right now. It's just maintain. Keep seeing all these anomalies of all these vehicles, all this fluff, everything going on all over these highways. And it's more or less it's just because of the job right now. But the bigger impact of the job is that the fact is that the trees and the animals and the mountains and the landscape and everything else is getting, blown to pieces. We've got a pulp and paper mill, 400 people being laid off. Well, the West Coast has been the largest paper and wood fiber and logging industry for a very long time. But when there's a war on the market, this is what happens. People think, well, it's just it's job creation, it's jobs, this and that. Well, everything causes an impact when it becomes beyond what the money is and the cost, especially when there's people above that are trying to drive that economics to feed their own pockets and have people that are the underlings doing it for them. And then we've got the bottom feeders that are now coming in and taking over a lot of things, everything from hotels to gas stations to all kinds of corporate businesses. They don't know any better, but they get caught up in it too. And then we get caught up because we can't go to a lot of these places. It's being taken away. Our housing, our rental is quite something these days. It's been holding at a very high tariff. To go stay at a hotel is a very high tariff. Like I said, to go to the gas station, the things that we need, the roofs overhead, the fuel to put in the car, the fuel that drives our food to the store. Everything about us. I'm hearing about the Sheeran laws. Hearing that they want to come in, they can come in anybody's house and do whatever they want. Well, they're overstepping what God put on the land. They're overstepping God himself. And this is what you're watching. But so many are still turning on that Devil's PR, CBC, and all the other news medias that all outlet with them. Still listening to the same propaganda. No water, fuel rising, food rising, home shortages. Well, I'm looking at it, I'm watching it, I'm seeing it. It's beyond. But the bottom's falling out of this place. And a lot of people do not want to see it, don't want to hear about it. And the unfortunate part is that, the world's coming into a collision. And the nation over nations are growing and falling. And the war's in all these nations of people. But they're all your brothers and sisters. Doesn't matter what colors they are. Doesn't matter who they are. But these other entities have been causing these wars between everybody all over the earth. But playing the theater that something's going on over there, playing the theater that's going on there. Like I said before in some of my other videos, a lot of the war has been on the holiest ground of all holy. Because Satan doesn't like God. And so the Antichrist is playing hard and has been for a long, long time. But as more generations come in and more generations come to help, the rest of the earth is paying the ultimate price. It's paying the toll. And so many people. We've had so many programs for so many years with so many generations of people that have come up that live in the fear that have been brought into this. Some that have gone and done stuff to their own bodies, massacred because they didn't have the love. Sat in a mindscape with others that, was taught these beliefs. But these beliefs altered. And altered their thinking. And altered how you physically operated in life and in the world. But, this has been going long since 1945. The liberalism, the fascism, socialism. It was all a test in the 1940s to play out. It's all premeditated. A lot of the stuff out here today is premeditated. But it's getting as many collective people together in the collection to all believe one thing or many things that circle around it and keep in the loop to keep doing the same thing over and over again. But I've been watching since the fuel from the 1970s and 80s that we were 49 cents, that we are to 2030, 2026 now, that we're almost $3 a liter and $7 a gallon. But either way, liters or gallons, that's what it works out to. And it's nothing that is backing anything other than it's just pure profit. But it's affecting what our farms do and what our grocery stores do. Anytime there's a war on people that are going to make any money, there's a turmoil and there's a war inside the system that keeps holding it. And so fuel, food, our lives are all being held up in relationships that don't work, not feeling adequate, not feeling the love, feeling the negativity, feeling the the backlash from people that are just with you but really don't want to be with you, but are going to fill the space, keeping you in a hold so you can't go forward because they're not going forward. But it's like the world itself. There's one big holding on to this right now. And you're watching the end times of a world that is trying to hold on to something that is already left. And it doesn't exist. It's an empty shell. There's a lot of shells just walking around. All these businesses and everything have been gutted, and they're empty. And you can see the wrath through the land right now on the nations and how society's acting. Watching in your day-to-day life, you're watching at your job. And it does a real mental and devilish anguish on your soul, on your heart, on all your body. You know, as the men keep getting midsection swelling and other things that happen, hearts, liver. Still so many that still wrapping themselves around the Al Ghul liquor. To saying they stopped, but at the same time, it's all that's keeping them going. But all it's doing is just doing more damage inside. Still eating all these processed foods that aren't healthy for anybody. But yeah, the world is definitely in a big hold right now. And all these individuals that helped to build this up, and many people, and I know it's a complicated, slippery slope, because so many people bought into so many different stuff that built this so big. Well, that's the problem. A lot of you at one point there weren't buying in, but you had to start flexing your money to make it work for you. But there's many people that were in higher seats that wanted Easy Street and Main Street, and they did this. It's the biggest trickery of the 3-cup shuffle. You just keep putting the dollar bill down on the table. The guy keeps asking you which cup the ball's in. We see this at the circus. We see this all over the world, basically. It's like the guy coming and wrapping his hand around you and showing you a bunch of great watches in your left sleeve and all that. Meanwhile, he's got the little scissors and he's cutting the cord off your wallet. In the modern world right now, that's what's happening every time we pull into these places to fill up in that. But the shortage is that we're on all reserve. We're using up reserves. We're using up everything at this moment in time. There's no more production. Somebody at one point said, drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill. One country built a pipeline. It's not even finished. Got to a point, that's where it stopped, but it was big propaganda. It's always something for higher gain. I know it sounds good because at the end of the day, everybody's so feared and they got to stay in the fear to chase that money and constant thing. But I've always said, how much longer until your health can't take it? How much longer until you get forced against the wall or let you drop somewhere? Maybe somebody's there to save you, maybe they're not. Maybe you don't want to be saved. Well, maybe you do. But there's so many others that are around you, but everybody's getting pulled into this hole that's hurting so many. They're doing the best they can. But there's been so much that's been taken away that's missing out of the equation while all this is still at play. And I'm just warning that it's going to get a little bit more rockier. And it's time for you to get out of the matrix. Doesn't mean that you're going to be moving somewhere. You can. But there's nowhere on the earth at this moment in time that there's any difference when it comes time to the massive problem that everybody's facing. But they have to start looking at who they accompany with, who you're hanging out with, who's guiding you, who's leading you, who's teaching you through this, who's not, who's just painting the complete devastation of fear right across your forehead and keeping you stuck in this, telling you that it's all going to be good tomorrow. Well, that's been said for a very long time. This is a little storm that's going to be popped over. Well, there's been so many storms that we're watching. And it's not all God that's making every single storm on the earth right now, is that the Antichrist is going to lead that to believe. But when so many people get involved in all these lies, it just has a louder boom when they trip up. There's so much truth out there, but the thing is, at the same time, it's heavy, it's real, but there's a lot today that is trying to masquerade as keeping everything fake because it's so much easier not to deal. But God works on inside you first, and then together you go through with each other, and you build and you grow. You leave that, and you come out. It's like living in a cocoon and then metamorphosing into a butterfly, becoming another shining light that builds the healthier side that we're looking for, which wages on the war of the darkness that's still building out there. But it's getting worse, and it's losing its lackluster, and lining up a big recipe for a bigger storm to come. Because most people can't even afford what a lot of this is now. And companies are going to have to start working with each other on these fuel situations and who's driving this. Because it seems every time somebody yells something on the news, something drives up. And I want to know who these people are to you. What do they mean to you every time they do that? Especially in these businesses. Because there's one thing about making money right now, but there's one thing about the greed of the money. It's like in the rental thing. A lot of people bought in very expensive. It's not just rental, but their homes. Now they're forced to rent their homes. Built all these apartment buildings, but they've got to rent them all out. But they're very expensive for such little what you get. And the whole point about building these multi-family dwelling homes was for affordability. And the thing is that you buy one piece of property that houses that size of a building for eighth of what the grand total is of the building, even after you build it. There's a lot of padding that goes on these places. And like everybody has been taught in these programs right now, is that's how you make your extra income. But we're getting to a point now in society at this moment right now, the society can't sustain that extra padding for your own gain that you're looking for right now. And I understand. I've heard it from the fact is that it'll pay a van payment, it'll pay for the child's braces, it'll pay for a vacation home, it'll pay for whatever that is, plus also take care of all the other things. That's fine and dandy. But when most of society can't even sustain this now, it becomes that you have to look at the fact of what that is now and what's important to you right now. Is it keeping your home, keeping your secondary home, or is it going on that vacation, or is it basically putting your braces in there? Why I say that is because you're looking for other people to come and rent or whatever, or even buy your place. And most people are not even qualifying. And they're not able to do this now. They don't have the extra means. Then there's all these conditions. We need insurances. We need to know what your income is. We need to know this. We need to know that. We keep asking for all this stuff, but it ain't going to save the situation. These are all programs. This is why I like these data AI centers, where we got all this stuff here looking for information. There's so much stuff that's sitting stacked on top. And then people are upset that their stuff is. We got these Airbnbs. We got, all of these different places that come up. But so many people are out of homes, living in small little spaces with so many other people, and people they don't even want to be spending time with. Whole thing about the collective sharing of mind. This is why they wanted to build all this stuff, because the tighter the people are, the tighter you can control them. But people need their space. They need their air. They need their room to grow, to breathe. But society is pushed so much just so that they can hold on to this thing. But the heat and the velocity and the temperature is on the rise in the collective, because they're getting upset now that they've done all this and they've got a thing. But it's like, where it gets back to is that you got to start looking at what your budget in your home is. And it's more or less is that I need to have somebody there that's going to look after my place minimally and that affordably, because nobody's thinking about the other person around them. They're just thinking about themselves. And unfortunately, yeah, that means that prices are going to drop. These fuel cartels, same thing. They've gotten away in the last 15, 20 years with charging more than what was legally allowed to be charged, making off the fuel. We played these tax games. We played all these, climate change things. We played all this stuff, and then it got dropped. But it's funny. So supposedly 50% got dropped off of it, but then it got spiked so high. Well, that doesn't work either. It's just downright gouge. It's the old saying in the Ponzi, in the pyramid scheme. Everybody's going to buy in. So you're going to buy in 300%. It's 1,000% to buy in. But before you buy in, the top is going to ask for its cut. And its cut is 600, 700%. And that is before you actually physically buy in. So you're buying the scraps while they had you pay the big profit. And so what that means is, like, if you buy a franchise, you buy in, but you got to pay every month. Somebody's got to come and buy your product. But what if they can't afford to buy that product because it's so expensive because of the cost of what you had to pay to buy in? The world's gone into this where everybody's buying in harder and harder. Just keep buying, hoping that it's going to turn itself around. Well, the $20 bill doesn't go very far anymore. And why I say $20 is because that's the average. I know there's many that don't make $20 an hour. But the funny part about $20 and why I sit there with that is because in the 1980s, $20 an hour was a wealthy wage. And that was for high elite. And today, in 2026, we're sitting at the average of 20. And basically for a 4-member family to go out and have a dinner, it takes about 5 20s. And it doesn't get you very far. And so we got all these franchises, we got all these businesses, we got everything. We've got so much corporate. And so many people have lost their own little businesses that didn't have all the extra costs. But many tried to stay in the brick and mortar part of it all. But where I'm going with the other costs and the other people is, like, we get back to the naturals of the foods and the items that we need naturally. People that make outside the brick and mortar businesses, stuff that they bring out on farms. And it's not that there's no cost there, but there's always a middleman. There's always a market board. Same with our meats, our poultries, and all our other items that we have. Too many middlemen in the middle of it all right now. It's keeping this upper inflation. And too many yahoos that are screaming it every single day, yelling it out there. But the jobs are scarcer. So many people are lost inside their jobs. They're in jobs that aren't serving them. It's just beating their nervous system. People are not functioning. People aren't there. Trying to run systems and programs in AI and all that, data, it isn't working either. People just coming home fried. Their energy drained. Just looking at what does this look like? wars inside their companies with other individuals. Holding on, but they got to hold on to their job so they can hold on to their home, put the food on the table, get themselves to work. But it's just it's a circle, a spiral that's going around. And I know for many that you're trapped in it, it's not an easy thing, hey, just to walk away. But it's about educating more people that they're going to have to understand that, you're not going to have your cake and eat it too. And they're going to have to start looking at their home prices. They're going to have to start looking at their stuff that they've got there. If you're renting out to people, you're going to start looking at the fact that, I'm going to have to minimize this. Main thing is that you got to make sure that your taxes, for the moment, which when I look at the tax thing, that's a complete, needs to be completely rotor-rooted. But for the moment, you're looking at what the water is to come into your house, the gas to come into your house, the taxes on that property and your home. You got to look at that first of all, and what the wear and tear and the maintenance is on it. But that's what damage deposits are. That's for other things that go on. But making too much over top of that isn't going to warrant this. And if this keeps going, and it just keeps growing, more and more people are on the out. And this one group here has been running around that you'll have nothing and you'll love it. That's not okay. Because there will be a higher force at play with all of this. And the judgment on the nation will come down. It'll come down very fast and furious. So for some now are asking, because I haven't said much about it, but I've said for years, but nobody wants to hear it. And I know that most don't want to hear it today either again. But I'm just saying, here we are 40 years later, and nothing's changed in people's personal wages, but everything else around them is out of their reach, or just about out of the reach. And the quality and the productivity is absolutely gone. But it's one of these things, we don't start looking at some of these situations, and we're just going to destroy everything. In our path, there will not be anything. And some of the stuff at the end of time was bought and paid for, but now it's being demolished, just taken away, pure greed, just pure lack of no resource for, and no consideration for others. But it is heavy. People are feeling it. They feel America's about to pop. It's coming. A lot of things to prep your own self for. And the time is now to, look through some of the literature, scripture, listen to the ones that are telling you the truth that you don't want to hear about, and understand that, that there isn't anybody around you at this moment in time that you can look at, that you can follow, not even the Joneses, on what this looks like today. You have to start looking at your own home, your own situation, your own family, your own health, your own mental ability, and work on you, work on the situation. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff that anomalies that isn't working, and there's an upward battle and a real fight at the moment to get things done, and there's a pull in the other direction. So the only way is that instead of hanging on, let go of some of the stuff that isn't serving and holding for you, isn't working for you. Keep working through some of this stuff that's up and coming. And I know for many that are struggling in all these things, and it's always easier said than done. But somewhere along the lines, there's many steps that are easy enough. But we always try to pick off the big chunk first. We got to stop listening to what the mainstream media, and all the others telling us that everything's going to be fluff and fine, and Gotta start wakening up. And that's what about the Matrix is, to leave it and stop looking around and look at what's being built, and everything else, and say, well, look at the jobs and everything else. You're wrong. It's like, well, every time I've always been wrong about the jobs, because as long as you got a job, everything's okay. But you can keep telling yourself that until it's not okay. Thing is that nobody understands about marketing and mathematics and what money is. But hearing like a waste water treatment thing is almost going to be close to $1 trillion by the time it's done. It's like, and people don't even know what that wealth is, and what that costs to people. $8,000 to $1,000 more on taxes, and it's not even warranted. It's just another thing to keep somebody else who's got this granddaddy idea of how they're going to milk more money out of people, because I know that project doesn't cost that much money. And so as long as many people are standing in many people's way and all that stuff, then it's like you got to kind of let it go and let go of the reins and let them run with it, because they're no different than you and I, but they've just managed to get a title and a stature at the moment. And these projects and these things cannot go on and cannot keep building up and taking away, because this was God's land, always has been God's land, never that it's not been. But these rulers have come in every single time to build up and blow up nations, and you're watching Babylon fall. And the Western world is Babylon. So have yourself a magnificent, blissful day. Find your peace, inner peace. Like, share, and comment. Break yourself out of the matrix. Open your eyes, because this is happening. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.